Hey everyone, welcome to a pretty bad Monday in the markets as far as Bitcoin is concerned, Ethereum, the miners, and everything else. We also have some bad news. We got Bittrex US filing for bankruptcy, so that's not good news. We also have the high continuation of the high fees in Bitcoin network, and we'll take a look at what that actually means for the miners as far as the profits they're possibly going to be seeing this month in May. So we'll look at some of the miners like Mara, Riot, CleanSpark, Bitfarms, TerraWolf, Iris Energy, and Core, and Cypher, I believe. We'll take a look at what that impact has on them. And then we'll take a look at also DMG. They provided their production update for April as well, so that'll be towards the very end of the video. And as always, there's going to be chapters on the bottom for you guys to kind of go to the things you want to see. Really quick, so as always, you guys know the drill here. This is not financial advice for entertainment only. Do your own research. I'm invested in following coins and companies for full disclosure. So let's get into the markets really quick, and then we'll get into our main story here, which is obviously the bankruptcy and how Bitcoin kind of reacted to it today. Okay, so here we go. The markets were kind of mixed today a little bit. As you can see here, the S&P was up actually 0.05% to 4,138. Dow Jones was down 0.17% to 33,618. NASDAQ was actually up 0.25% to 13,291. Bitcoin is actually down right now 2.94%, and it did go below our wedge here, and that was mainly because I think it was unforeseen that we were going to have Bittrex file for bankruptcy, and also the high transaction fees, which are also causing some issues for some of the exchanges, Binance to name one of those. So we'll take a look at all those stories here coming up here. But right now, Bitcoin is obviously down 2.92% to 27,642. It's down 827. Currently, it was down much lower than that as it was. We have about 40 minutes or so left in the day for the trading until it switches over to the new day on it right now. We'll see if this goes back up above here into our wedge triangle that we have here, kind of thinking it was going to follow it. It did look like earlier today that it was going to follow the 50-day moving average and bounce off of it, but it fell lower below that. I think maybe the news, excuse me, on Bittrex bankruptcy is what pushed it down even lower than that right now. Okay, so that's kind of where we are right now. You can see that the RSI on the 4-hour chart went all the way down to approximately, well, below 25. So that's definitely in the oversold territory. Last time we were back here on it, it was actually, we were much lower on it back here. Let's do this really quick. There we go. So we went down to about 23. Last time we were back here, price at that point was actually higher on it, as you can see here. So I think the news is having an impact on Bitcoin right now. If we look at the 1-hour chart, we've been kind of bouncing here for a while below the 30 mark on the RSI, and prices continue to come down. So that's obviously not good news there. It has kind of bounced up a little bit here, but price is still lower than where it was back here on the RSI at 38. So that's not a good news. We'll have to figure out what's going to happen going forward, if we get a reversal on this or not. Right now, it's just not looking too good. We may come down a little bit more, possibly to our, what would be our next possible line would be of defense, would be the weekly 200 moving average, which is now at 26,000. And we'll see if we can bounce off of that if it continues going down further. If it doesn't hold there, then we're going down to possibly to our 200 daily moving average, which is at 24,630. And if that doesn't hold, then we're going down to our previous support here at 23,800. Okay, so that's kind of our blocks that we're looking at possibly going down to if things get really bad for us. All right, so that's Bitcoin in a nutshell right there. Let's take a look at the Ethereum really quick. Ethereum was also down today 1.25%. It's at 1,849 right now. It was also bouncing off of the 50-day moving average here. You can see, and then it fell below it, but it is trying to get back up above it here. The RSI on the 1 hour is at 44. We were close to it here, and price was actually higher at that point, but it isn't too far from that. So we'll see if we get a reversal on the 4 hour. You can see it went down to 35. Last time we were at 35 was roughly right around here. Price was actually a little bit lower than that. So that might be a good sign for Ethereum at least going forward. And then on the daily chart, we can see that the RSI now is at 46 currently, and we'll see how that is going to play out going forward as well. But right now it's just really hard to tell which ways we're going to go. I'm thinking we're going to go down. Love to be wrong on this and for us to go back up, but we'll see. Okay. So let's get into the miners here really quick as well. The miners were down for the most part, except for 2 of the miners were up today. But ANY was down 3.86% today. And let's get rid of the weekly or daily moving lines. There we go. So ANY was down 3.86% to 41 cents. Argo was down 4.23% to $1.36. BitDigital was down 3.39% to $2.28. Bitfarms was down 7.76% to $1.07. Cypher was down 11.76% to $1.95. CleanSpark was actually up today to it's up 0.95% to $4.24. It's down in the after hours right now a little bit. Cores was down 4.54% to 35 cents. DigiHost was down 6.36 to $1.62. DMG was down 1.72% to 21 cents. Greenwich was down 7.28% to 42. Hive was down 3.76 to $3.07. Hut was down 4.79 to $1.79. Iris was down 12.06% to $3.28. Marathon was down 11.06% to $9.33, surprisingly, because they're actually mining really good right now. Mawson was down 4.51% to $2.75. Riot was down 9.1% to $10.49. Soluna was the other one that was up today, was up 0.21% to 19.5 cents. Stronghold was down 6.18% to 90 cents. Wolf was down 9.24% to $1.67, and that's it for the miners. So pretty bad day for the miners, except for the two that were in the green today. And let's take a look at the network hash rate really quick while we're at it. See where things are shaping up right now. We're still up a little bit here to 349 on the 7-day average. And if we look at the 1-day average, we've come down a little bit here as well to 331 million right now. Okay, so that's it for those. Let's take a look at our main story here that we do have, which is obviously on Bittrex. So U.S. crypto exchange Bittrex files for bankruptcy in Delaware. Bittrex already announced its intention to exit the U.S., but also faces an SEC enforcement action. And that was part of the reason I think they're deciding to get out of the U.S. market here. So crypto exchange Bittrex has filed for bankruptcy in the U.S. state of Delaware on Monday, months after announcing it would wind down operations in the country and weeks after being sued by the Securities and Exchange Commission. The exchange believes it has more than 100,000 creditors with an estimated liabilities and assets both within the 500 million to 1 billion range, according to court filings shared by Randall Reese for Chapter 11 dockets, a bankruptcy tracker. So quite a bit there. We don't know exactly how much is held by users here in the United States or even abroad in the current U.S. exchange. We'll have to find that out eventually. I'm guessing that will come out. So Bittrex's U.S. branch has had a rough 2023 so far, laying off 80 people in February and announcing it in March that it would end all operations by the end of April. These changes have not affected Bittrex Global, the non-U.S. crypto exchange, so that's good news there. So it's not the whole exchange going down, just the U.S. division of it that is going down. Despite Bittrex's impending exit from the U.S., the SEC sued it in mid-April on allegations it operated a national securities and exchange broker and clearing agency. The SEC also sued former Bittrex CEO Bill Shahara and Bittrex Global. Bittrex Global CEO Oliver Lynch said last month that the exchange intended to fight these charges in court, but bankruptcy proceedings may make this more difficult for them, I guess. Bittrex is the latest crypto entity to file bankruptcy, joining fellow exchange FTX and a host of lenders like Celsius, Voyager, and BlockFi. And that is true, and that is unfortunate, obviously, and that has had an impact on Bitcoin today, as we've seen, obviously, in the chart just a little bit ago. Okay, so this wasn't obviously good news here. We also have the Bitcoin price falls here and what the reasons are for it. So if we look at it on this story here, so Bitcoin falls below 27,500 as investors weigh meme mania, Binance congestion issues. And we've kind of talked about this a little bit yesterday as far as, well, this goes hand in hand with the Bitcoin network transaction fees going way up. One of you guys commented on the video today that you're moving $200 worth of, well, BTC from one wallet to another, and it was costing you $50, which is insane. I get that. But that's more like a microtransaction, and right now, this is not the time to do microtransactions. If you can hold off from making any transactions, I think right now would be a good time not to do that unless you really need to. But otherwise, I would just hold off, to just hold off on it, unless you're actually moving like hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, something like that. Then $50 is $50, not a big deal. But other than that, for microtransactions, this is definitely not the time to do it. Okay, so going down here, the largest cryptocurrency by market capitalization was recently trading at around 27,350, down over 5.5% in the last 24 hours. According to CoinGecko data, as investors continue to mull over a surge in interest in the Pepe meme coin and Binance congestion issues that forced the exchange giant to temporarily suspend Bitcoin withdrawals over the weekend. So they've done this twice now. From the latest tweets, it looks like they did it yesterday, and I believe they did it today as well because of the congestion. The other one is obviously the higher fees as well. But my point of view on this is that if somebody wants to be able to transfer their coins regardless of however many they have, they should have the right, regardless if the fees are high. It should be up to the user to dictate what they want to do, not the exchange. But that's just my opinion. I think it's probably a wildly accepted opinion as well that, it's your coins. You should be able to move them when you want to, whether the fees are high or the fees are low. But that's just my thinking on it. Now, they're talking about Pepe here. I've been hearing a lot about it. It's one of those other meme coins out there, and that people are just FOMOing into it. And when we look at it here, you can see that it's actually down about 32.95% here on the day. And it did peak, it looks like, over the weekend, or actually on Friday, on Cinco de Mayo is when it peaked. You can look at it here, and we saw that it definitely peaked quite substantially here. Got a market cap of about 1.73 billion. The market cap now is at, what is the market cap now? 1.2. So definitely down about 500,000 or so, roughly, or 500 million in value just over the last couple of days. I don't like to get into meme coins. They're just usually a pump and dump scheme for the most part. People try to pump them up, and then the people that got in early exit out, leaving a lot of people holding the bags. So I think it's overblown, but yes, there's a lot of hype behind Pepe right now. It's all over the place. So wanted to just point that out. Be careful what you invest in there. Okay, and continuing on with the story here. Down further here, we have Greg C. I'm not able to pronounce his last name. Global head of research at Bitcoin investment firm NYDIG, wrote in a Friday newsletter that despite short-term price fluctuation, BTC is increasingly serving as a buy and hold asset based on on-chain data, which we're also seeing as well. And then he says the following: with more Bitcoins being held for longer, a dwindling supply is available for short-term trading. He wrote, adding that this may result in increased volatility or trading costs through wider spreads. And then given Bitcoin's fixed supply nature, this also means that fewer Bitcoins are available for others to purchase. This may result in upward pressure on prices if the demand for Bitcoin grows, he wrote. And I tend to agree with that. As long as you have a lot of people holding it and you have people having a lot of interest into it and wanting to buy it, price is going to go up over time. But right now, we just had some bad news. The fees, obviously, in the network hash rate, or in the fees, network fees, along with Bittrex today filing for bankruptcy, have had a negative impact on Bitcoin as it is, okay? So let's take a look at the fees that we do have right now. And the fees went pretty parabolic here in the last 2 days. So right now, today, well, not today, this is data from yesterday. So the fees for yesterday, the 7th, were at $11.68 million, which is way above our average here, which is about 600,000 or something like that. So 11.68 million for yesterday. The day before was only 5.31 million, so that is a 100% increase in fees just in a day. How long will this continue to go on? It just all depends on how much interest there is in these ordinals that are being placed on the Bitcoin network as well. How many are getting put in there? How many people are trying to transact on Bitcoin network? All of this stuff is having an impact, obviously, on the fees right now. Will it be just a spike that we're having right now for a couple of days, maybe a week or so, and then it comes back down to average? Time will only tell. Unfortunately, we really don't have a lot of data based on this. We only have a couple, we got data going back, but this is definitely unusual events here that we're seeing. So we'll see how this is going to play out. But I did run some data on this as far as what, like Marathon's mining, possibly also what CleanSpark is. I believe this is Marathon's chart here. Is this Marathon? Let's see here. Let me reload this one. This might be actually, no, this is, let's see here. Oh, I'm getting mixed up here a little bit here. 10.8. No, this is actually Marathon's numbers here. Yep, this is Marathon's wallet address, I believe. And you can look it up here. I believe this is Marathon's wallet address for what they're actually mining. So you can see here that prior to all of this excitement and fees going up, they were generating per block about, 6.47, 6.5, so a little bit over the 6.25 normally you get, plus includes the network fees in there as well. But as of this weekend, we started getting into 7 territory, 8, 10, 11. We had 11.28, which was the highest that they mined here, 10.25, 11.16, 10.08. And this is for Marathon. Then if we look at also CleanSpark here, and I believe this is CleanSpark as well. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe this is theirs. We can see here that prior to this, they were averaging about 17 something Bitcoin per, looks like, when were they getting this? Looks like per day. Yeah, we got one every day here. So they're on a pool. That pool pays out daily. They were averaging about 17 point something. And then as we got closer, obviously into this weekend here, they started going up to 18, 19, 19.42, 19.4, 20.66, 20.86, 25.17 here just recently. So you can see how that's having a huge impact, obviously, on the revenue that the miners are generating as it is right now. Okay, so I did some numbers on this just to see over the last 8 days how that has affected it. And when we look at it here, you guys can see that I added the latest numbers that we do have for Marathon that came in overnight and into today. So we ended up yesterday with 10.14, and then today, well, within, when I recorded the video yesterday to today, we got another 11.28, 10.25, 11.16, and then 10.06 as well. So now we're looking at 8 days worth of data. And yesterday we had an increase of basically 15.72%. Today, based on this continuation of it, we're seeing it that's adding 21.88% to their revenue, you could say, based on the additional network fees that are being applied to the block rewards and everything else. Okay, so currently it looks like they mined about 335 Bitcoins in the last 8 days. That averages out to be about 41.9 per day. On average, they would have only gotten 34.38, a little bit more than that. I'm using the 6.25 here. That's kind of where they would have come in. But you can see that the additional network fees has given them an additional 60.17 in Bitcoins. That's an average of 7.52 more per day currently. Now, if this continues going forward, this percentage actually increase could go up even higher. Based on that, we're using, we do have quite a bit of data that is, below the new highs here. So we'll have to keep an eye on this. We'll keep an eye on this probably daily, see how this is going to affect the miners going forward. But running the numbers here, we can see here that, let me see, make sure I'm doing this right. And actually, I wanted to use this number here. So I just realized that. So I took the numbers for Marathon, Riot, CleanSpark, TeraWolf, Bitfarms, Cypher, Iris, and Core from April, what they actually generated in revenue for Bitcoin mining at that time. So if they were just to stay where they were with production, the numbers would have stayed the same as far as their hash rate, Bitcoin price, things like that. Bitcoin at 28,780 on the average right now. It's down a little bit below that, but I'm using the average price. They would have increased their revenue by about 21.88% currently if this stays the same. Now, if, like I said, if the network fees continue to go longer, an extended period of time where they are, generating $10, $11 million a day extra on top of everything else, that is definitely going to have a huge impact on the miners going forward. So just based on things right now, we're looking at Marathon would be at about 24.6 million. That's about 4.4 million extra for them. Riot would get a gain of about 4 million. CleanSpark about 3.3 million. TeraWolf 1.5. Bitfarms 2.4 roughly. Cypher about 2.5. Iris at 2. Core is going to be about 7 million extra for them. So they're obviously the ones that are benefiting the most from this. And we've seen them actually report today, I believe, that they mined 51 or 52 Bitcoins. So that is having a huge impact for them as well. And that's going to be helping them a little bit with their bankruptcy as well to pay off some of the debt that they do have. Okay, now if Marathon continues on going with the path that they are currently going at with about 41.9 Bitcoins per day on average, they're looking to be about 37.3 million in revenue for the month of May, right? But that's if things stay the same, nothing else changes. We know that Marathon obviously has curtailment and other things, but I think right now with the way the fees are working, I'm pretty sure they're going to try to keep the miners plugged in as long as they can without doing any curtailing if they can get away with it. So that's definitely going to be a huge increase for them from 20 million in April to 37 potentially in May now. Excuse me. But not only for them, but it's also going to be for the other miners as well. It's going to be a huge improvement in their revenues for this month of May. Like I said, we'll just have to see how long this continues going forward with the network fees being up so high. They could go up even higher. Who knows? We know we have a pretty big backlog when it comes to the network mempool, I believe right now. It's, 400,000 transactions that are kind of waiting to get processed as it is. So it's going to take some time for that to work its way through. And when it does, that's when I think prices will start to come down on the fees a little bit. Okay, so just wanted to point that out to you guys. So that's it for that one. And we'll see how this continues going forward. All right. So let's take a look at the one update that we do have, which is from DMG. DMG posted this on their Twitter page, on their Twitter handle, whatever you want to call it, Twitter page, Twitter feed. So here's what we do have for them. BTC mine was 73.6. HODL is 534. I have a question on the HODL part. We'll take a look at it here. Hash rate added was 35 petahash. So they did receive spot order of 350 S19 miners. Miners added 350. Average hash rate that they reported was 0.92 exahash. This is average, so it's not exactly exact where they are. Could be up a little bit higher than that. They could be closer to 1 exahash already right now. Okay, so that's kind of what we got for them. Let's take a look at the numbers that I actually have for them here, and DMG is right here. Okay, so DMG has about 170 million shares outstanding right now. Current stock price is about 22 cents. Current hash rate is about 920 petahash. Future hash rate is about 1.2 exahash. They have about 315 petahash left to get installed. They have, as you can see here on the 1 week, 4 week, 8 week, and 12 week, they've been underperforming here compared to Bitcoin and some of the other miners as well. They've been going down. Their BTC production has also been coming down here. You can see ever since December, they peaked at 104 Bitcoins, and then they started slowly going down. And that's mainly due to the network hash rate going up. Excuse me. Network hash rate going up and them not installing a lot of miners. Okay. So you can see the monthly difference here as far as what they generated Bitcoins, and it has been coming down a little bit here over the last 4 months. Yeah, 4 months. BTC value right now is, their BTC HODL value is 29.02% of their market cap. The rest is their hash rate, I guess you could say. Their BTC value HODL is about 15 million right now. Hash rate left, we already talked about that. BTC HODL is 534. BTC sold, this is where it gets interesting. I'm showing you that they didn't sell. They got actually 17 extra more. But we'll take a look at it down below. And the BTC 74 is what they generated. Right? Yeah. Okay. So HODL position, you can see how that has been increasing here, which is kind of good to see a little bit. Doesn't look like they sold anything in the last couple of months. Like I said, it's weird that I'm showing you that they had a positive 17 for some reason when they should be either 0 or it should be a negative number if they sold. Their BTC per exahash efficiency has also been coming down here ever since, well, this I think is an outlier here in April. But in December, they were at 114 BTC per exahash, and then it has been coming down. It has been coming down for the other miners as well, which is fine. So we'll have to see where the other miners come in at for this month of April and see if they're below the average or above the average. But I think right now they're below the average as it is on that one. Hash rate and revenue here, we can see that their hash rate has been kind of 917, 891, depending on, I think, the number of days, the average that they provide us with. So it's been kind of up and down here, but they have been growing here through December, and then they've kind of stalled a little bit here, it looks like, towards the end here. Revenue value-wise for BTC, you can see that it has been consistently going up for the most part. We had a little bit of a dip in March. March was a it's kind of strange month for them, down a little bit here, didn't provide as much Bitcoin as they normally would. And then April had a little bit of an increase. Bitcoin price has been going up as well, so that has affected it on that one. Hash rate difference, you can see that they have been flat, down a little bit, up a little bit. And then BTC sold value looks like we talked about a little bit, where they're usually selling, but they've been holding, it looks like, the last 2 months. Okay, so when we look at the actual last 4 quarters, you can see where things are at. The current quarter estimated looks like it's going to be up, which is good, which is, I think, Q1. And then their last 4 quarter operating costs have been pretty consistent, up a little bit here to 4 million compared to the 3.483 in Q2. Q3 was 3.365. Q4 was down nicely to 2.6. Now they're back up to 4 million. And that's still not bad at all. Now, other metrics here, you guys can take a look at those things. The cost to mine for the last couple of quarters here. Bitcoin mined quarterly, debt to equity, current ratio, total current assets, total current liabilities. They don't have a lot of liabilities, which is good. They got plenty of current assets, which is also good there. But I want to talk to you guys about the Bitcoins sold here, or generated. So they reported 73.6 Bitcoins being mined in April. That got added on to the BTC HODL, and then I subtracted from where they were the month prior, 443. And then I do a calculation on it. So we take what they generated minus the HODL from here, plus, we add those two together, subtract what they have here, and we actually ended up with a positive number. So either my numbers are wrong here someplace, or someplace their numbers are wrong as far as being reported what they actually have in HODL. The HODL could also include something else, whether it's through staking or something like that. Maybe that's the addition being added to their HODL position there. That's not being reported as being something that's mined. That could be something as well, okay? So I just wanted to point that out, that's why I'm getting the number that I am on that one. Okay. Now, institutions-wise, we're looking at the same numbers pretty much that we've had for the last 2 months in April, now May. We still have the 1.42 million shares being bought by institutions, 8 institutions being. We still have 1 strong buy rating, 1 buy rating, 0 hold, 0 underperform, 0 sells. Price target went up a little bit to 75 cents with a high from 74. The average stayed at 50 and the lowest stayed at 25 cents as well. So that's all good there. Like I said, currently they're at 22 cents right now based on what their last 3 quarters revenue is. And I want to make sure I'm using the most recent. We should probably update this to that one. Bring that one down. That one. Okay, so we're using the Q1 numbers along with the Q4 numbers from 2022 and Q3 numbers. So that's going to be the most recent there. And then let's see which one is this one being used. I want to make sure we're using. So, okay, so the current quarter that we're in, Q2 of 2023, is an estimate, right? We only have the data for April. We're still waiting for May and June. But we'll see where that comes in. But right now we're estimating about 6.2 million, depending where Bitcoin price goes, network hash rate, all that stuff, and how much they install. That will have an effect on it as well. Okay, so we have the most data there, most up to date. Based on all of this, with a P of 10, using the 50% net income from gross revenue over the last 4 quarters, we're looking at 63 cents. It's kind of where I think they should be kind of valued at, to 75% net income, which would be at 94 cents, right? They're not growing that much. That's obviously hindering their stock performance, I think. If we go at even like 7 PE, they would still be at 44 cents. They're currently at 22 cents. I think they are undervalued regardless of where you go, especially when Bitcoin starts going up in value. These guys usually, well, not DMG per se, but miners in general will start to go up in value as well, because when Bitcoin goes up, it lifts all other boats as well. Okay, so that's it. I believe they're still a little bit undervalued. Let me know what you guys think of all of this. Obviously, a lot of data, a lot of information that we have here. I wanted to get through this as fast as possible here. But we'll have to see, obviously, how Bitcoin continues going forward this week. It's going to be interesting to see how the Bittrex news is going to play out going forward, along with the network fees, how that's going to impact things going forward. Binance stopping withdrawals and things like that, that's having an impact on it as well. I think if it wasn't for that and Bittrex, I think maybe Bitcoin would be up right now, but those things are having an impact, unfortunately. All right, so that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. And the spreadsheet is available to my Patreon members as always. The link is down in the bottom. It's $4 a month. Less than a cup of coffee, I think. So you guys would get all this data here. And then I'll also provide the YouTube members with the picture of, I guess it would be the picture because I can't provide PDFs. So it would be a picture of the charts here for a DMG as well and for anything else that I update. All right, so that's it. Hope you guys have a wonderful night. We'll see you guys tomorrow.